Welcome to the Wild Pitch Podcast, hosted by Brian Gales, Jimmy Gales, Brian Dorsey, and Christopher Rojas.
All right, we're back again with another episode of the Wild Pitch Podcast. Lucky enough to have yet another big leaguer join us, Luis Lopez. He is a big-time guy with the New York Nighthawks, coaches at the Harvey School, former big leaguer, but we're going to let him tell you all about all that stuff. Chris, you guys go a little bit back too, right?
Yeah, I was first introduced to Lou when we played against each other in winter ball, and he was like one of the big time legends there. So
Was that in Puerto Rico?
yeah, in PR, and then him being a New York guy was, we hit it off obviously because we shared that background, and then being able to play against each other, and then we actually played with each other in a couple of Caribbean World Series, one where he joined us in Mayagüez, and one where I joined him in Ponce. And, and then obviously we circled back up once he came back to the Northeast and started up his travel program, and we connected on trying to recruit some of his players. Like, we've been out to see his team. He's got some talented guys over there.
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the first things that amazes me, Louis, is like, how do you tell us your story about coming from Brooklyn? How do you go from playing in Brooklyn to get to Coastal Carolina? That's not a path that many take, so I'd be interested, I'm sure everybody would be, to hear that story.
For sure, man. That's first, thanks for having me, fellas, on the show. It's a pretty crazy story, and it's one I kind of teach my ball players about, and I always tell them, you never know who's watching, because it's one of those type of lessons. We were playing in a tournament in North Carolina. I graduated back in June, and I still didn't have a college to go to. I had, some offers on the line. One of them was New York Tech.
What happened? Why'd you turn it down?
I think I went on the tour for Coastal, and I saw the beach, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Not a hard sell.
We have nice trees on our campus.
Oh yeah, no, it was beautiful. I was able to see some grass and trees and whatnot. I don't see too much of that in Brooklyn.
No,
but we're playing in a game in North Carolina in July, and we were losing 10-0.
This is going into your senior year, or
I'm already graduated.
Yeah. That's amazing. Okay, go ahead.
I'm already graduated. That's what I'm saying. This is like really, luck. Right place at the right time, and I had the SAT scores, I had good grades, everything, and we're losing 10-0. That we're playing infield in. At the time I was a shortstop. They hit a ball up the middle. I dive, catch the ball, threw the guy out, and the coach just happened to be sitting next to my dad, but he didn't know it was my dad. So my dad starts clapping, and he's like, "Oh, good play, good play, Lou." And then he goes, "Wow, that's pretty impressive," because they're losing 10-0, and he still dove for that ball.
Right.
And then he's looking at the paperwork and stuff, and he looks down and it sees that I'm uncommitted. He goes, "This kid's uncommitted?" And he goes, "He's a senior?" He goes, "Do you know these Brooklyn guys?" And he goes, "Yeah, I know a few of them." Then he goes, "Well, the shortstop, why is he uncommitted? He's killing this tournament." And I was on fire in that tournament. And he goes, "Well, the shortstop happens to be my son." "Really?" So they start talking, and he goes, "From what I've seen in this tournament, I'm offering him a full ride right on the spot.
Wow.
When you guys get back home, can you fly back and visit the school?" So it was them and UNC Charlotte offering me full rides right on the spot.
Wow.
So,
Lou, who were you playing with during that time?
During that time, I was down there. I had gotten invited to go with I was with the Brooklyn Cadets.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I had gotten down with. And I was like, well, sure, I'll go to the tournament, no doubt. And we went there, and I called up UNC Charlotte first. It was a bigger school at the time. Called them up, and the coach was like, "Oh, I got somebody in the office. Can I call you back?" I'm still waiting for that call.
I guess he didn't want a big leaguer to come in.
Yeah. So my dad's like, "Man, the hell with him." He goes, "Call up the guy from Coastal and see what's up right away." As soon as I called it, They set up my plane ticket within like a day or two. Flew down there, and the rest was history, man. I still step foot on campus, and I still get the same butterflies from when I went on my recruiting trip.
So Jim, one of the things I know about Lou is that he's like a good alum. He loves his school.
Oh,
you know,
yeah?
like we love being at Tech and our experience. You get that same feel from him. Anytime, you talk about college ball and he talks about his experience there. I mean, it helps that he's a Hall of Famer there also. So, I mean.
Well, Louis, we before our first game this year, we actually went and rented a cage with the little guy with the funny stance.
Yeah.
He had a batting cage right down. It's almost on campus.
Chile, yeah. It's like called 3D or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Really nice guy, and he had pretty cool logos of himself with that crazy batting stance. But that's where I know about the teal, I guess.
Yeah, Teal Nation.
Everything on the walls, and it was pretty cool. But so
I want to kind of dive into the whole recruiting thing, Lou. Like, so when that was going on, you didn't grow up with the cadets, though, right? Did you play with the bodies or service?
No, I played with cadets first, and then I went to service.
Okay.
I went to youth service after that. And if I was going to do it all over again, man, I went over to youth service a little too late. If I would have went there a little bit earlier, man, especially with our two phenoms that we had between Manny and Frank, the scouts were coming, man.
Right.
And it helped out everybody else. When you have the main attraction, and that's what I try to explain to everybody, you have that one or two guys that they're that guy, that dude, the schools are going to be attracted to them guys, but it benefits the other guys that are around.
Yeah.
So you played with Manny Ramirez on youth, or you played with him at all, or played against him?
Yeah, all them dudes. Those are all my guys, man.
Right. Yeah, Coco Flores, right? Who else was there?
You got them. You got Julio Lugo. You had You talk about big leaguers off that team. We were all on one team.
Was Figueroa on that team too?
Figueroa was there. He would come with us, and he was another one. We both were playing with other organizations, but anytime we went to tournaments, we'd go with youth service.
Wow.
You had John Rodriguez. He ended up playing in the big leagues and got a ring. Then you had some guys that were in the minor leagues that were unbelievable players as well. Mike Rodriguez, Freddie Smith, Roberto Vaz.
Was Ned Beatty around that time also?
Ed Beatty too. Yep. Ed Beatty was there. Trovin Valdez. I mean, the list goes on and on of that time. And that's what I tell the kids nowadays, man. I say, you guys think that New York City baseball is the same?
No.
You got this. I said, and I tell them straight on my team, there's a lot of you guys, you wouldn't even sniff the field with all the guys that we had, the talent that was around. I said, it was crazy. You look at the all-city players. I mean, guys were hitting 500 and 600, making all-city.
It's interesting for a kid nowadays. You know how it is. I mean, they're getting lesson after lesson. They got all this like enhanced training, but you guys are just in there just playing ball and getting to the big leagues. So, and I think that's so valuable. I think that's the best way to go about it. I'm glad we didn't grow up in nowadays, making ourselves little robots in these indoor facilities. And
I'm leaning. I'm like in between. I wish we did when we didn't, because, you have a lot of ex-players like ourselves coming back to help these guys.
But listen, you're talking about, you're trying to follow a guy that did something. These guys are out here following players that never did anything.
Right.
So
exactly.
When I go to high school with Frank Catalanato and he's 2 years ahead of me, I just want to be him. I don't even realize I'm copying a big leaguer, right? So, but these guys are copying guys that never did anything. You guys were around other players. It's like that in Dominican, Puerto Rico. They have those heroes, and it's good people to emulate. They don't have that out on Long Island anyway, especially position player-wise.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's certainly I think today the paralysis by analysis takes over with a lot of these kids in terms of not having a feel for the game because of how they're training. You know what I mean? It's a lot of I guess a lack of actual substance on the field, teaching and applying some of the mechanics that are necessary so that you can execute it to task when you're actually competing. Whereas they're inside a cage, guys giving him instruction. Never seen him take a hack any time during a live at bat, and he's critiquing him. There's got to be that balance. There's got to be a little bit of, where you have to have some insight as to how he's trying to apply this stuff into the game, and then take him to the side and say, hey, this is what I saw. Maybe we should work on this. You know what I mean? So it's, I think you're right. It'd be, if you had a little more instrumental teaching in your life, it probably takes you to another level, but it all depends on how, you're getting an opportunity to use it. So it's a give and take.
Right.
Yeah,
for sure. The other thing,
what's interesting is you talked about Cap just a second, Jim, right? So how you said in Smithtown, it was like you had that crew of guys that were like, I guess the some of the guys that got signed in pros, right? Like that's what was a big hotbed.
Yeah.
Lou has that same experience though in the city though. If you think about it, it's a very similar experience,
Yep. No, it's Lou, it's very interesting too. I say this all the time, how so small your opportunity is. If that kid doesn't hit you the ball, right? If the pitcher doesn't throw that kid a strike, that ball doesn't get hit to you, you don't go to Coastal Carolina. It's that fine. Like that, the little, you got to be ready at every single moment. I have so many stories like that too. It's amazing. And you just, I love that story. I guess that we're big on like being a product of your environment. Right. Chris tells me like with your Nighthawks team, like what's your big philosophy with the travel ball and how you go about it with your kids?
Well, one thing, I try to teach them a lot of stuff is that I talk to them about is more off the field stuff. Mm-hmm. And I explain to them, I go, listen, man, by you having respect with somebody, they're going to give you respect back. I said, and that's going to take you a long way in life. I said, it's the little things. You have to pay attention to details. You show up to the field, everything, say hello. Say hello to everybody's there. Whatever parent's there, say hello. I said, you don't know who's there. Maybe one of them is a scout or they know a scout. And all of a sudden they put in a word for you and they say, hey, you got to go check this kid out that plays for the Nighthawks. You got to look at number 10. This kid can play. And all of a sudden they come around, they come see you. So I just try to tell them, whenever you put that jersey on, you never know, it might be your last day putting it on because eventually you're going to have to take it off. So you need to enjoy it. I said, you ain't entitled to anything. You're not entitled. I said, you guys need to understand that this is a short-lived life and you have other things to go on to after you finish playing. I said, I'm a perfect example. I said, now I was blessed to play till I was 40. Not a lot of guys get to play like that, man. Yep. I said, the other thing is you have to remember, and a lot of you guys forget my story. I have a degree. You need to get that degree just in case. Just in case my first year, what about if I would have blew out my first year? I didn't know that. I said, so that's where a lot of the times I explain to a lot of our kids, especially in the inner city, where they're trying to get that fast dollar. So what do I mean by that? They're trying to get that contract. And I go, my man, getting that contract is like us going to the corner bodega and buying Mega Millions or the lottery. That's what it is. And we're going to hit it. Yeah, you can have that dream. I'm not taking that away from you. But we need to be realistic also. We need to go to school first and then try to sign.
Why do they think it's so easy? Because we deal with it when we're recruiting kids, and their head is so lost. And
it's not even the pro thing. It's not even just the pro thing, though, Jim. It's the college. They think everybody thinks they're a D1 player. Everybody thinks they're a Power 5 conference guy. Everybody, they think they're too good for you.
But where are they getting this from? Because none of us would ever lead.
They're being misled by parents, and then supposedly the advisors. They're coming around and telling them, you could go and get signed. And just like you said, Chris, the different levels, man. And I told them, I go, listen, man, I played D1, yes. But we used to get scraped by D2 and NAIA schools. They'd come into our house and smack us in the mouth at Coastal. I said, so you guys don't, it doesn't matter what level you're at with baseball. This isn't like basketball or football. That's a completely different animal. I said, baseball, you put up numbers anywhere you are, I promise you, They're going to find you. I said, so don't come with that. I said, you need to find a fit. I said, why go to a D1 school and sit 2 years when you go to D2 and start right away? What are you thinking about? I said, there's no, do you want to play it or you want to sit?
Right.
But
So
even
that's
then,
develop at different rates.
yeah, that's a fit is huge. But even sometimes you can you can go to a place, sit, and it still be a pretty good fit, right? And I think that's the other thing, though. Kids don't necessarily want to wait their turn, right? Sometimes you got to wait your turn, right? Sometimes you got to, and sometimes your opportunity is real small, and you got to seize it and make it bigger, right? And that a lot of kids don't like that challenge any longer, right? You said something. Obviously I follow you on the social media, and you always post like these really like metaphorical statements, and and I think you put these messages right out so that people try to open their eyes a little bit, right?
Right.
And one of the things, like, there's this one statement you made that I'm gonna read out, and I thought it was really, really interesting, is that you said nowadays advice is offered from everybody and all these and so-called momentary experts, right? He goes, and you tell them, please be careful. Remember, the path of least resistance doesn't exist. Greatness is hard, nasty, and requires your feelings to be hurt.
Oh.
Right? So that last part, requires your feelings to be hurt. I think that's one of the most lost characteristics in people that we find, I guess, that you don't find in people nowadays. Nobody wants their feelings hurt. Right? And the minute you hurt their feelings, you know what? Screw you. You're a bad guy. You don't know what you're talking about. So talk to me about what inspires you to say that. I mean, I know with the Nighthawks, you're doing something that's really, I don't know, people don't know. You're doing charity work. You're providing an opportunity for kids who don't really get an opportunity, right?
That's
but
right.
You deal with kids who don't necessarily have that sense of loyalty. Because I've seen some of your guys that play for you, and I'll go to a tournament somewhere else, and all of a sudden I see him in another uniform. I'm like, wait a minute, this kid's on the Nighthawks. What's going on? Why is he bouncing around? So talk to me about that. Talk to me about the, why they can't have their feelings hurt, and I guess the lack of loyalty.
Okay, so the first thing, I'm going to take the first part of that question. The reason why I think they're afraid to get hurt, a lot of these parents have them jumping from team to team. And why? Because they're thinking the grass is always greener on the other side, one. Two, because they feel like, oh, they ain't playing here, they're going to go over there. Listen, if you ain't playing on one team, I'm pretty sure you ain't going to play on the other team. Learn how to wait for your opportunity and take advantage of it. Work harder. Take more reps. Work on your stuff. And a lot of the times, the loyalty is out the window nowadays with a lot of these kids. And I try to explain to them, I go, yo, you guys are in the perfect world. We're setting you guys up. Myself and my partner, we created the Nighthawks because we wanted to give a level playing field. What do I mean by that? They ain't no pay to play. For us, you play for us, and it's for free. Mind you, we're going to the same tournaments. We're going to the same showcases, everything. We're going out there, placing every single kid. You could even be a bench player, maybe not even in the same rotation. And we're going to try and find you a school. And a lot of organizations do not do that. They don't do that. And, I tell the kids, I go, listen, it's okay to fail. It's fine. It makes you tough. You learn from those failures. I said, now, the other thing is with our organization that a lot of people aren't used to, we have a roster of 25 people. And I go, listen, we have that for a purpose, for a reason. I'm teaching you guys how to compete for playing time by the time you get to college. Why wait till you get to college and start doing it? Let's learn it now. Learn how to compete now. Because a lot of the guys you can't. You're expecting to play. You get comfortable that you're going to be in the lineup. And when you get to college, then all of a sudden it's not like that, or whatever school you pick, right away, that leads to another thing of what I'm going to talk about, transfers. Everybody wants to get in the transfer portal now. My man, you chose that school. That's the one you were happy with the coaches and everybody, and everything was perfect for you. Now you want to transfer? maybe the problem is you. Look in the mirror, man. You got to be real with yourself.
Yep. Yeah, I think a lot of times, and obviously, we coach collegiately. A lot of times kids, for whatever reason, they look to jump ship rather quickly, right? And look, sometimes you make a bad choice, and sometimes the fit is not always right.
Right. Coach leads.
With the amount of kids that we're seeing kind of using that platform to get out of the environment they're in, you can't tell me it's always because it's a bad fit. It's because you decided, you know what, I can't hack it. That's what it comes down to a lot of times, right? I mean, what do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there are those rare opportunities where a coach may have misled you or brought somebody in afterwards, but nobody wants to. Listen, Louis said it best: the path of least resistance. That's what everybody wants. And that kid in the city that thinks he's going to get that contract, it's just easier for them to only do baseball and not worry about the schoolwork. So that's half the battle. They don't want to be told anything else. They hear what they want at that point. But yeah.
It's a mixture of a little bit of laziness, Jim, and also just being misguided. A lot of the times our parents, especially the kids that are coming from Latin countries, they're coming to the city and their parents really don't know how the system works. So the kids right away, I want to sign because they see everybody else signing. And I go, my man, there's a process about this. Hold on. You gotta do this, and this. I said, why don't we try to go to school first? How about that? Let's try that. Let's go the other route instead of thinking about a professional contract. I said, now, if you're good enough, trust me, they'll find you after college. Now, if you're that good, if you think you're that dude, they'll sign you out of high school.
Right. I think that's one of the biggest things we always joke about, that the kids aren't even interested in being good. They just want to have like hype around them. They think that's enough. But at the end of the day, you got to be a really good baseball player. But no one's really interested in that part,
Right, because that takes a lot of effort. That takes a lot of work to be good, right? Or to, if you really have that dream, playing at the next level, you have to challenge your ways and that you've never done before, and I think we all kind of experienced that, even like if you take your case, Louis, right? Here you are, a kid from Brooklyn, just by almost sheer luck, like you said, gets discovered by Coastal Carolina, go over there, you're a 4-year player, have a tremendous collegiate career, but you still don't get drafted, right? And you get the opportunity to sign as a free agent, right?
Yep.
So it wasn't like you were handed something. You kept scratching and clawing. You kept grinding, right?
Correct.
And so you get to the minor leagues. Walk us through that as a free agent signing, which, it's not the easiest opportunity, right? Because you can easily be discarded to just a roster filler, right?
Yep.
How did you make your way? How did you make it happen? How did you take that opportunity and turn it into a big league chance?
Okay, well, after, just like you explained everything, man, I was able, with the numbers I put up in high school and the numbers I put up in college, I should have been drafted. It didn't happen. I didn't sulk about it. I said, so what, man? I tried out for every single team there was. And all the complexes in Florida, I know them well. I drove to all of them. And heard the same thing. Got down to the end after, 300 guys trying out. Always them last 25. I was always in that last 25. And they would tell me, we're going to get back to you, blah, blah. I'm still waiting for those calls too. But, then I signed independent ball. That's my first route. I signed with them and with St. Paul Saints. I stayed there a month. And this is what I talk about opportunity. They sent me out to Ogden, Utah to play for the Ogden Raptors. My team was an independent team playing in the Pioneer League, playing against affiliated teams. And I go, this is my chance because I'm playing against draft picks. And if I bang against these draft picks, they got to sign me. So I went there and hit 360 in that league. So we come back, and the Blue Jays were the first ones. They get in touch with me. It happened to be an ex-teammate of mine. He got hired by the Blue Jays the next year as a pitching coach. He was playing with me with Bruce Walton. He was playing with me with the St. Paul Saints. So he sees me walking on the grounds. I was going there to just watch practice, whatever. And he's like, dude, what are you doing? He goes, you had an unbelievable year. So he starts talking to a couple of people there, and they end up giving me a workout. They called me up, and they told me, we want you to come back in June. This was like in April. Come back in June. Be prepared. I didn't believe the voicemail. I had to replay it. I had to replay the voicemail saying, hey, you're going to come back. We just want you, to lose a little bit of weight. And I said, listen, I said, you want me to lose 15 pounds? I'll lose 25 pounds if you give me a contract. And that's the way it was. They invited me there, but I was on my own dollar going there for extended. And it was, I was there I was traveling from my uncle's house about an hour back and forth. I'll never forget, man. I saw that jersey. Everybody had their jerseys with their name on the back, everything. I didn't have a name on my back, and I had number 80. No name on the back. So when I show up, go out for stretch, I knew a lot of the guys because I had played against them. They were friends of mine. And they were like, dude, you signed with us? I go, no, not yet. They were like, why they gave you that jersey with no name? I said, I'm still trying out. What? So then they told me, so I stretched. They go, are you ready for the game? They threw me right into a game that day. As soon as I showed up, I go, yeah, I'm ready. I had been playing in a men's league to stay sharp.
Where, Saudia?
No, in Florida, because my uncle was like, he goes, I'll hook you up with one of my boys' teams. They play in the men's league. It was aluminum bat league, but I was using wood. So my last official at bat, that's another funny story. We're losing like by one, and I come up, run on first, and the coach, he comes over, he goes, why don't you just one at bat, just hit with the aluminum? I go, for what? I said, if I'm going to hit it out, I'm going to hit it out with whatever bat I got. So I come up and go deep right center and win the ball game.
Well,
so that's how I left.
Go ahead, finish that.
So I showed up to the spring training. They threw me in. I get 3 hits that day. No, they don't say nothing. Next day I come back, same thing, same routine.
This was extended or regular spring training?
Extended. I was in extended. So they put me in the next game. I got 3 more hits. So all of a sudden, Bobby Maddock, may he rest in peace, he was there as our farm director. He comes over, he goes, Lopez, come here. I want to ask you something. Why didn't you get drafted? And I go, I don't know. They said I couldn't hit with wood. They said I was slow. They said I was this, that, And he goes, well, to be honest, he goes, I think that's horse shit. You keep hitting like that, you're going to play in the big leagues for us. Go ahead, kid. Go back on the field. So, I heard that from the farm director, and I'm like, okay, but everything that I had been through, I'm like, nah, you got to show me that piece of paper first. Let me sign, and then I'll believe it. And unfortunately, when they're doing rosters, like a few days later, they ended up having my name in the St. Catharines. That's where I started out, in the New York Pen. And I was happy. Like you said, Chris, I thought I was going to be a fill-in player. The guy that gave me my tryout, the first original workout, ended up being my manager, which was Rocket Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
So, I come walking in, first day of our season, and we're in St. Catharines, Canada. I look at the lineup card, and yours truly is hitting 4-hole, DHing. And I go, oh, man, they messed up. They gave me a chance.
they opened the door for me. Well, that's just sick. See, that's just it. And I think, like Jim and I can relate in a lot of ways. It's like, you get a small chance. You got to kind of push the door open. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And too many times people want to blame the guy to the right of them, guy to the left of them, guy behind them, guy in front of them, and don't want to look in the mirror. Like, what am I doing to try to really, really, really create an opportunity for myself, the fact, that's a sick story when you think about it. I've never heard of anybody going and just letting them try out with the extended roster, right? Sometimes you get signed and you're on the extended roster. Maybe they'll release you, but hey, you want to come on your own dollar, you know what? We'll put you up to let you compete with these guys and see what happens. That's a pretty sick story. Like, I never knew that about you. That's crazy.
No, but then when he gets there, looking at his numbers today, you just tore through and rose really fast. Like
his numbers in the minor leagues are stupid. I mean, just his. I guess '96 was that St. Catherine's year. Is that what that was in the Penguins?
Yes.
287 homers and 80 RBIs with a 285 batting average in half a season. Right. So that right there is at least 15 and 90 if you're playing a full season. Right. And then you look at the following year, 358 with 99 stakes. Now, so was that the year that you were MVP of the Salary League?
That year, man, they gave me every award. Every single award I took home with me, man. This is the story about that. I was so worried after St. Catherine's. I was like, damn, am I going to get a letter to be invited for spring training?
Right.
So
you probably you still on the bubble, probably, right? Still got
on the bubble. Like I said, I thought I was a fill-in guy just for that year. Yeah, I ended up finishing second pretty much in all the stats there and everything. But, we were stacked on that team. We had a lot of first-round picks. And they were like, damn, what round you got drafted in? And I would just laugh. My teammates didn't know my story because I kept it to myself a lot, So I get the letter. I get my contract to come for the next year. And I said, okay, it's on now. And I started working out with a friend of mine that knew about weightlifting and everything like that. And he just started training me and pushing me, man. Pushing. And that's all I needed. When I showed up to spring training, and they were like, damn, what'd you do over the off season? And I showed up, and in spring training, I was just straight tearing it up. Well, I had went to winter ball first, and I had, I was there, we didn't play much, but, I would get my ever so often at bats and stuff like that, like Ruben Sierra, Jorge Posada, them guys were on my team, Jose Cruz Jr., a lot of big time studs. That's when Puerto Rico was like legit. It was packed. We get 20-something thousand every night, pretty much at Irán Bithorn. It was packed. So we went there, and I think that experience really helped me because I would just sit and listen to them guys talk, and I would carry it over to what I was doing. Then in that spring training, my hitting coach Larry Heisel, he asked me. He goes, "Hey Lou," he goes, "What are you thinking when you're hitting?" At that time, I still didn't even have a plan. I had played my first 2 years of pro ball without even a plan at the plate, just going up there and swinging. And I was still able to be successful. So then when he showed me the plan and he showed me where the contact point should be on the floor in a diagonal, once he showed me that, it was a wrap. That's when that year in Hagerstown that I was hitting 400 until All-Star break.
Wow.
400 to All-Star break. I took pride. I didn't want to strike out because I'm like, nah, I ain't striking out. That don't help my team. Let me put the ball in play. Cut down my swing with 2 strikes. I didn't care I was hitting 3 or 4 hole. It didn't bother me. I had a guy on second base. I'm trying to move him over. And that's what I tell the guys. If you play for the team, good things will happen. I don't care where you hit in the lineup. You need to learn how to bunt. I hit in the middle of the order. I bunted. And I tell the guys, that year was like a storybook, man, because I won batting title. I won the batting title. I won the All-Star MVP. I won the league MVP. I won my team MVP. And then all of a sudden, that's when the Blue Jays came back and said, now that they saw me like as a prospect, but I was a sleeper prospect.
Black horse or the dark horse, that's what they call it, right?
Yeah. And then the rest took its course. I was able to skip high A. I didn't go to Dunedin. I went to double A. And I mean, I signed with the Blue Jays in 96. I was in triple A by 98.
That's awesome. So we like to ask the guys your call-up story. We love call-up stories. So let us know how you found out, the situation, everything you can.
So that year, I'm in Syracuse, New York.
And this is what, 2001, I believe?
2001, end of April. Yep. And I went there, and again, my April stats, if you look them up, I'm terrible in April. Oh, my God. Me and Nicole did not mix. at all.
How did that happen? You're a Northeast kid. How the hell can't you hit in the
Yeah,
cold?
no
I
excuse.
don't know what happened, brother. But I tell you right now, you pitchers throwing all them two-seamers and everything. I didn't want to hear it.
That's the difference, right? A pro's two-seamer ain't the same as a high school kid's two-seamer.
It ain't the same.
That's why he had nowhere to go to college too. He stunk up here.
Yeah. Oh man, so we're there, and I'm hitting like 370 that April, because that year we had went and the season started. I don't know if you remember the Texas Rangers, which Frank was on the team. We were playing the Blue Jays in Puerto Rico. So there was some exhibition games, and then the regular season started there in Puerto Rico. So
you were in big league camp that year?
Yeah, I went to big league camp. They flew me to PR. Delgado's,
that must have been awesome.
Oh my God! Mind you, that was our home field.
Right.
Remember, Chris? So
yeah.
They announced me. The place went nuts, and everybody's like, "Oh, no!" So Halliday, and may rest in peace, Carpenter. You got Joey Hamilton. We had some clowns on that team, and Pedro Bourbon. And they're like, "Man, Delgado, you ain't shit. You ain't nothing here. Who's the man here?" Like, no, don't say that. So Delgado tells me, he comes back to me when we're going in the dugout. He goes, "Luisito, I'm taking 2 at-bats, and you coming in the game for me." All right, cool, because he wanted me to play in front of the crowd. Cool, no problem. So sure enough, it worked out like that. His at-bats were quick. It was like 3rd inning, and I'm going into the game, 4th inning. So I was like, damn, okay. I'm in. And first AB, you got Pudge catching, you got A-Rod playing short. I mean, all their starters are playing.
Right.
And I was facing this lefty. I think his name is Haney. First pitch, Hyatt, take him deep.
Oh, man.
No way.
Went nuts.
As you're saying that about Delgado, I remember when I played in the World Baseball Classic with him, he was that genuine. He was like a legit good dude, like knew everybody, whether I was a peon minor leaguer with these guys. Knew everybody's name, what I mean? Said hello to everybody, was a sweetheart. Like but that's sick how a guy like that gives, he says, you know what, let my man play. He's, I want to get out of this game, let him play,
Yeah.
People.
And the thing is, I was still battling for a roster spot. Because, I was straight banging that whole spring training, going off. And I had went deep again. I had like 4 or 5 home runs that spring. And so I come in the dugout, and you know how it is in winter ball, everybody comes out the dugout. So all the guys, and that's when it started. Now everybody does it. So they were all out the dugout and jumping around. They came running out of the clubhouse with their shorts and T-shirts on to come in.
That's awesome.
Him, Mondesi, and they're like, yeah. So then, we kept on. The game went on. I come up again with the bases loaded, hit another base hit, drove in 2 more runs. And, they're like, they don't know what they're going to do with you. So Buck Martinez calls me in the office, and he's like, Louis, you basically made this team. He goes, the only thing is I don't have a spot for you right now. He goes, this is what our game plan is. And this was the first year that I felt like everybody was being real with me, the front office and the manager. And I go, this is the way baseball should be. This is the way it should be. And when I'm in these positions, that's the way I'm going to be with my players. I'm going to communicate with them like that, transparent. And they were like, we're keeping, may he rest in peace, Ryan Friel. We're keeping him because, he can play shortstop.
Positions, right. He was a utility guy, yeah.
Right. We're keeping him up here and an extra pitcher. And he goes, but you keep doing your work there. He goes, you'll be back soon. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, is this dude, I'll be back soon. What's he talking about? This is my 6th year in the minor leagues. And I've been banging every year. I don't know. So make a long story short, we go that whole April. I'm playing relaxed because they were being real with me. Dave Stewart, he was the assistant GM. As transparent as can be. You talk about genuine dude, I love that guy. Love him.
Tell it how it is.
Yes. And if he was the GM, he was like, man, if I was the GM here, Lope, you'd have been in the big leagues since 98. We're talking about in 2001. He goes, your numbers were there. You big league ready, dog. And I'm just looking at it. I'm like, damn, this dude, he talks this soft. And he was like, this guy was legit on the mound. I remember him.
Yeah.
And he was just straight real. So that April, I went back to AAA, the most relaxed I ever been in baseball. And that's why I think it was I think that was the reason for my numbers. I hit like 370, had about 5 bombs. I had close to 30 RBIs in that month. So I get tapped on my shoulder after a game to get called into the office. Omar Malave was my manager, Venezuelan guy. He had been my manager a lot, AA and AAA, for a few years. You know, we had a history. And if anybody knew our relationship, they knew he was the type of dude he was a prankster, man. He liked to play a lot of jokes, especially
so
with
him tapping on your shoulder. You don't know what he's got for you, right?
Yeah. So I'm walking to the office, and I'm like, damn, I didn't miss no signs. I didn't fight with nobody. I didn't fight with an umpire, nothing. I'm thinking of all the negative things. So I'm going back there, and I go in, and I go, what's up, O? And he goes, sit down. I go, nah, I ain't sitting down. I'm good. And he goes, I want to ask you something. He goes, you know when you go up to hit, how does your song go? What are the words? And at the time, I used to hit with the song Big Pun. Yeah. Cuando llegará el día de mi suerte. So basically, when is the day my luck is going to change? That's what it was saying in Spanish. So, and I was like, okay. He goes, well, it changed. You're leaving to Toronto tomorrow. And I go, oh, that's fucked up, man. Now you messing with me like that. I go, that's messed up. I said, you know what I've been through? I said, that's wrong. That you're messing with my emotions right now. Turned around, I walked out the office.
You thought he was messing with you?
Walked out the office. A hitting coach comes, grabs me. He was Kenny Landreau. Very humble guy, quiet, you know. Lopey, what's wrong? Why are you so pissed off? And I go, man, I said, you know how O is, man. Always messing with me, bro. I said, he came and told me that I'm leaving to Toronto tomorrow. And he goes, no, it's for real. And I go, Kenny, I respect you. Don't be doing like what he's doing. Respect you, man.
Don't be messing with me.
Yeah. And he goes, nah, Lope, for real, man. Yo, I cried like a baby. Cried like a baby, man. And every single one of my teammates came into the hallway hugging me, blah, blah, you know, congratulations, this and that. And the reporter that worked there for our newspaper, he's like, I've been doing this for about 15, 20 years, and I've never seen the reaction of a team be like that for a player. And I go, that's because they knew what I've been through.
Well, you know what, Lou, and I don't mean to cut you off, but yeah, I know they know what they've been through, but I know this about you. You're also like a genuine good guy. Like I've been around you enough, either when we played together or around you when I watch you interact with the kids, how you're very approachable, like extremely humble. The kind of guy that takes people under their wing, you know what I mean? Like, so that goes a long way. People identify with that. And I think, you know, yeah, they can know your struggle, but when they know you're a good person, that's what really triggers people to kind of have that type of reaction as well, you know? So you don't sell yourself short in that regard, you know?
And that's what I try to explain a lot of the times to the kids too. I say, hey, you want to be remembered as a good teammate before a good ball player. Because if it's the other way around, they were like, oh yeah, that dude could ball, but he was an asshole. Boom, right. Conversation's over.
Yep.
Conversation's over. Now, if you're saying, yo, that dude, he did this, he was humble, he was quiet, he was always good, man. We went out to eat and everything. We hang out, talk, he was down to earth. And by the way, he can play.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I really explained to them.
So go ahead. So now you get through that emotion, right?
Get through that emotion.
You get to Toronto. So then what?
I'm going up, and mind you, they sent a limo to send me up there.
From Syracuse to Toronto?
No, they wanted to, and then I said no. I said I got to drive because my family's here. Yeah. So and they were like, okay, cool. So I go drive up. First game was there. I get dressed up. All the guys, I'm walking in, and all you hear is Carpenter and Holiday and all. They're yelling, and it's about fucking time. They call you up. Damn it, it's about time. You should have been here with us. Blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm a rookie, man. And I'm trying to stay calm, quiet, my mouth, stay in my corner. That's it. And they making all this noise when I walked in. I'm like, dude, I don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers, nothing.
Right.
You know? So I just stand on the side and get dressed, go out for stretch and stuff. And I'm like a little kid, man. It hasn't hit me that I'm like, no, you're a big league player. I felt like I was in fantasy camp, getting ready. So I'm going out. We go out to the field and stuff, and the guys are like, oh, you good? And that day, we're playing the Angels. Your ex-teammate was catching, Benji Molina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they go, Lope, you're pinch hitting. They brought in a lefty to face Fletcher, a catcher. So they had me pinch hit. Runner on second base. It was a tie game. And they're facing Holtz. I had faced Holtz in college. So I already knew what he had, what he was throwing. They were like, oh, Lope, this is the report. I said, I know who he is. Chris Holtz. Curveball, changeup, fastball. Yeah, you got him. Okay, cool. So I'm getting ready. And my heart is like beating, like forget it. I'm trying to slow it down, breathing like the way they taught us, all that stuff. And I'm like, damn, nothing's working. I'm sweating. I had played 9 innings. We go. I go up to the plate. Benji walks back to the mound, to home plate from the mound, and he's like, he's telling me in Spanish, Luisito, hey man, congratulations, papi, this and that. I'm glad you're here. And I go, Benji, thank you, man. I have the DVD because I was like, I gotta keep this to show everybody because nobody's gonna believe it. By the way, you ain't hitting today. And I have, my head down. I'm messing with the dirt, and I'm like, "What
He told you that?
Yeah. He goes.
So here he is. He's congratulating me. He's letting you know, hey, we competing. You ain't gonna get a hit right now.
you ain't hitting today. And I go, what are you talking about? I go. He goes, because we're putting you on. And I go, and I tell him, Devin, that for real? And that's when I looked up at him, and he goes, for real. And he put up his arm. They intentionally walked me my first big league at bat.
No way.
Yeah.
I bet you that's not many people can say that.
Yeah, how many people can say that? That's got to be a trivia question.
Yes, that's the first thing that came through my mind. They threw the pitch, and I go, yo, I'm going to be trivia in MLB. In the Sports Center.
Oh, man.
Oh, it was great, man. Get to first. Jeff Fry comes up after me, hits a base hit. We end up winning the game 3-2. Well, we come into the clubhouse. We're cheering and everything and stuff. Get in the clubhouse, and here we go. This team, they were relentless. You know how it is sometimes in clubhouses. You got Pedro Borbon, Mondesi. You got, Carpenter, Holiday. Everybody sees the way those guys are, that they're bulldogs on the mound, but them dudes love to joke around. Uh-huh. They love to joke. Jeff Fry. You ain't shit. They intentionally want a rookie to face you.
Oh, yeah.
Right. They had no respect for Jeff's bat.
Oh, my God. When I heard that, you talk about taking off my uniform quick, trying to jump in the shower and get out of there. I wanted to get no part of it. I was trying to get out. Jeff, he goes, you know what? That is true. He goes, hey, rookie, from now on, you carrying all my stuff. I said, I'll carry whatever you want if I can stay in the big leagues.
That's funny, dude. So when did you finally get your first big league hit? Because you played in like 40 games that year, right?
Yeah, first big league hit. Couple days afterwards, I got my first at bat was they pinch hit me against Roberto Hernandez. He's throwing 100.
He's another famed Puerto Rican player, Jimmy. He was the closer for the White Sox at the time, was he?
Oh yeah, I remember. He was a big dude.
But then he went to the Kansas City Royals afterwards. And then I'm like, damn, I've seen him plenty of times. He loves to throw his fastball. He throws me first pitch fastball. I'm jumping. And so first pitch, I hit it dead center to the wall, and Carlos Beltran catches it up on the wall. That was my first at AB. So I almost went deep, my first official at bat. Then after that, we left. We went on the road, and we went to Oakland. That was my first road trip. I didn't get a hit there. I had one start, and then we went to Seattle, and I pinch hit against Arthur Rhodes. And I was like, that's another dude that threw hard, liked to get ahead with his fastball. And I hit a base hit to right field, drove in a run. That was the year when Ichiro had just come over and everything. But yeah, in Seattle was my first hit.
Nice.
That is awesome stuff. You see what Jeff Fry's doing on Twitter now?
Oh, man.
Oh,
He's lighting people up, boy.
he is all over that dude.
Was he funny like that when you play with him too?
Yeah. That dude's a joke, man. Oh,
how funny is that? She gone.
He is all over that guy, man. That guy is St. Louis.
The fishnet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. He loves to joke around, man. He was a good guy too. Another good teammate.
So, Jimmy, you bring that up, obviously. Louis, talk to us a little bit about that. Do you have any thoughts on that? And like how these people all talk about launch angle and you know, like what's your thoughts on that? Like,
well, I'll tell you right now, I don't like to talk a lot of it on social media. I use my social media a lot. And you said, you know, I put a lot of sayings and stuff like that because I'm using it as a platform. A lot of these kids, if you tell them to go read a book or something like that, they probably won't read it. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to put information on my social media because I know they're always with their phones.
Right. That's a great.
I'm gonna give them good information, whether it be about college, whatever, about life, anything. I'm gonna put it on here. And everybody asks me, they like, Lou, the way you teach the game, you should be doing videos, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't like putting it on my social media because I don't want no idiots coming on there and telling me about hitting, about fielding, or whatever. And the dudes never played anywhere. No,
Jim, that's the same thing you say, right? It's like you got all these people who are ready to attack. Yeah.
I'm so afraid of the repercussions of putting something out there. I don't want to get involved.
I don't want to get involved with it because I'm gonna be straight to the point. I'm gonna be direct, you know. And I just don't want to deal with it. But some of the stuff and I'm like, these dudes are really selling this. I'm like, what? Now that launch angle stuff, okay, there is a launch, but they're misinterpreting it. Right now, the kids are straight swinging with an uppercut swing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Straight uppercut, hitting cage bombs. You're hitting the top of the cage where I'm flipping at or where I'm throwing. That's an out. That's an out. I'm sorry. There's only certain guys that the ball's going to carry that far. Who are we talking about? I'm talking about maybe Joey Gallo, maybe Judge.
Right. You're talking about behemoths, guys that are monsters. Yeah.
Yeah. Great freaks.
They're hitting balls out.
Yeah. They're freaks. But now you have to understand what type of hitter you are, man. You know, me, I hit my home runs on occasion, but I was more a gap-to-gap guy. I'm trying to drive in runs. You got to spray the ball. You want to hit over 300, and I tell them straight up, like right now, nowadays it's home runs and strikeouts are okay. No, it's not. Strikeouts don't help your team.
Yep.
No, we want to play team ball. You win this game by scoring runs.
Right. It's so funny you say that because I just saw a clip this morning where Griffey was talking to Harold Reynolds and he said it's not home run ball, it's baseball. You know, you got to know how to play the game and do things with it. You know, one of the things I always remember too about facing you was how long your bat stayed in the zone. And there'd be times I can try to go hard in and you stay inside of it. There'd be times I try to go soft. And because you're keeping your bat in the zone long enough, you're still able to get barrel on the ball, you know. So, like, I remember, you know, having that one-on-one engagement when you're in competition and knowing you tried to cover a lot of parts of the plate. You just weren't one-dimensional is what I'm saying.
That's right. And I think it goes back to my days as far as, I mean, probably my dad. He always used to tell me, strikeouts don't help your team, man. Put the ball in play. They can make an error, whatever, ground ball, something. You know, you have 2 strikes to take your hacks. Now, you know, once you get to 2 strikes, you need to learn how to have a 2-strike approach. Nobody has a 2-strike approach. Nobody talks about it. Right. Nobody teaches it. Now they taught us about it, and a lot of my fundamental stuff, I really relate to it, and it's from what I learned in the Blue Jays system, which was unreal, man. I mean, they were very basic with everything. They broke down everything. You know, for instance, there's a little story about my guy Jimmy Hoff. He was our farm director and everything, and may he rest in peace. He was still working with the Tampa Bay Rays till about a year or two ago, and he passed away suddenly. This gentleman, he would have early work. So early work, it's either fielding or whatever. You know how it is, Chris, in spring training. And one early work was bunting. So he's naming off guys like, you know, for instance, I'm going to make an example. Brett Gardner, Kenny Lofton, Mike Trout, blah, and then Luis Lopez.
How'd you throw my name in there?
What am I doing? I'm starting to steal bags now? What's going on? You know? So I go to him and I go, Jimmy, I said, I don't mean to question you. We're walking to the half field to do our bunting. I don't mean to question you, but I just want to ask you, what's the thinking with me in this group? Because I feel like I'm the oddball. And he goes, Lopi, puts his arm around me. He goes, I want to ask you something. If you get called up to the big leagues tomorrow, mind you, I was an A-ball. You get called up to the big leagues tomorrow, where do you think you're going to hit in the lineup? You ain't hitting third.
Right, you're going to be in the bottom three probably.
You ain't hitting third, Mondesi's there. The fourth, Delgado. You ain't hitting fifth, Cheito's there. He goes, you want me to keep going? And I go, okay, so I'm hitting either seventh, eighth, or ninth. He goes, exactly. That's why you're here. Everybody needs to bunt 1 through 25. And that's my saying when I teach with the Nighthawks, when I teach at my high school, 1 through 25, I don't care who you are. You need to learn how to bunt. You know, so that's where I think I got a lot of it from it, all the fundamentals from them. And that's where we're not at right now.
Well, so it's so funny you say that. So Jim, talk to like you elaborate on how we always see guys don't have an understanding for either situational hitting, two-strike approach, you know, understanding what's needed from them or how to battle in an at-bat. Like what do you see from guys there?
Well, I think first of all, they have they're on Instagram, right, Louis? They're seeing all this stuff, and they don't know that information is not helpful to their game. But right. The way I explain it to them, I mean, listen, Louis, if I come to you at 26 and talk about a little launch angle, and you're hitting 360 with 15 in AAA, and you go, you know what? Let me experiment with a little thing. Maybe I'm going to hit 25. I'll hit 330 with 25, and I'll become a millionaire. At that point in your career, you go, I can handle that little adjustment and make it work for me. These guys, that's how they're hitting without having a clue. They can't handle the bat.
Yeah. No bat control.
They can't do anything. I mean, I'll tell a guy, hit the ball to right field. The ground, move them over. All right, do it again. They'll waste their whole entire round, 7 swings. And this is a guy that's been there for 2 years, never plays, but it's like, you really can't force your hand to hit a ball over there? Like, we haven't played Pepper sometimes just to understand that.
Yeah.
And bunting, like we have, like Chris knows, we have guys that fly, they can't get a bunt down. You know, that's a hit a game, and now you're hitting 440 at our level instead of 380, but they just won't do it.
Yeah. It's good that you mentioned that stuff because there's a couple of things. There was a lot of information there. Now, the situational hitting, like, for instance, I told the kids, I go, why do you think there's so many shifts in the big leagues? I said, because dudes can't hit the ball the other way, and that's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
You're a big league hitter, and you can't hit the ball over there. Thank God I was blessed with 2,500 plus hits in my career. If they would have did a shift on me, man, I would have had 3,000 or something with hits easily. Are you kidding me? I hit right at the base? What? At the position? Oh, man, those are then hits. Because now the second plays on top of the bag.
Right. They make it seem like you can't handle a game speed pitch and place the ball. I mean, look, I hit in college, and I remember being able to at least to your margin of, error of margin, be able to hit the ball to an area regardless of where the ball was pitched. And they say, oh, he's pitching me in. I used to hear guys. You remember Paul Torres? Louis played with us in Maya West with the Cubs for a while. He could drive the ball a little bit. He'd be like, inside pitch, the easiest pitch to hit the other way. I go, why? Because it's right on you. Just keep staying inside of it.
That's it.
You know, so these guys, you know, and then so when you have that conversation with them, they're not aware of it because they're not trying to do it. They don't work on these things.
Not trying to do it. They don't work on it. That's one. Two, the other thing is they aren't being taught it. So you know what I'm saying? A lot of the guys that are hitting coaches and stuff like now, they're not teaching that. They're worried about hitting the launch angle, the fly balls and home run. My man, this ain't Little League. Fly balls and out.
Dude, I wish I pitched now.
Oh, that's what I said. And I go, yo, could you imagine all the pitchers that I face? If they pitch now, they'd be dealing. They'd be dealing. And then me, I'm like, man, I wish I was a hitter now.
Right.
And a lot of the times they go, oh, but, you know, and now they're throwing harder, this and that. I go, excuse, so what are you trying to say about the pitchers back in the day? They didn't throw hard? I faced plenty of dudes that were throwing 100.
Well, they were throwing hard and locating. That's the difference, too. Nowadays, they're throwing hard and not locating.
They were locating. There was movement. And I told them, I said, I can care less about velo. You could throw 1,000, and if it's straight as arrows, I'm going to turn it around.
Yeah.
That movement and that location, that's what gets us out.
But then that goes back to like even how the game's changed with the analytics approach and all that. You know, that's another topic, obviously, that you can go down a rabbit hole in. But you know, some of it's obviously noteworthy and useful. Some of it is just, you know, where they get too involved and don't take the nuance of the game. We had just, you know, the episode before this, we had Bobby Scales, who's the minor league, field coordinator now with the Pirates. He's talking about how guys don't have feel for the game anymore. You know what I mean? It's all metrics driven.
They don't watch them.
Yeah.
So now what I did was with my kids, you know how they're showing a lot of classic games? And I tell them, you guys ain't doing nothing. Turn on channel so-and-so.
Right.
Watch the game.
Right.
That's how we learned. That's how we
learned. I said, the stuff that I'm teaching you guys, the bunt plays, whatever, you're going to see a guy, situational hitting on there. You're going to see it. Watch it. And, you know, I just, that's one thing I try to do in my practices, especially in the beginning of the year. How many of you guys watch baseball, especially when I get new guys? Nobody raises that.
Nobody watches baseball.
And I'm like, how do you want to get? I said, so you mean to tell me nowadays they're showing college games on TV? You don't watch college games? Isn't that where you want to be? So maybe you should watch it because that's what you're up against. If you really think you're that dude.
Right.
You know, you got to watch that stuff. You know, and these kids are just so caught up with different things, man. And I go, you guys got to get serious with this. Something's got to give if you really want to play. You're lucky if you can play till you're about 20, 21 years old. Remember that.
It ends one day, and, you know, it all ends for us one day. Question is, how long do you want to, you know, how long of a career do you want to make for yourself, right? And it really relies on the individual. I mean, right, Jim, we talk about that, you know, like people really don't really want it, because if you really want it, you can have it if you put forth that effort, you know?
They don't eat, sleep, and crap it, as they say.
Right.
You know, it's just not ingrained. I mean, Louis, I tell these guys, you know, I was a big Robbie Alomar fan, and if I bring him up at practice, I'm getting some weird looks like, who is that guy? And you know, when I played, I knew guys that played in the 20s because I was just a baseball junkie. I knew who Trish Speaker was. I knew who, you know, all these guys.
Check this out. Now that you mentioned that, brother, what I started doing was I started getting players that were similar to their style, old school players.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, you got your phone, Google it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I had a second baseman and he reminded me of Alomar, and he didn't know who he was, okay, you're going to look information up on Roberto Alomar. Go see what he did. Right. Then I go to my pictures. Okay, you're going to be, check this guy out. Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling, whatever. They don't know these guys. Hitters, I mean, that's unreal. Ken Griffey Jr., outfielders. You know, I had on my team, Chris, you remember you saw him, Timo Perez's son. He was my center fielder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Flies, Jim. He was another one, couldn't bunt when he first got to me. They had him hitting the ball up in the air because he was a strong kid. I go, you were hitting home runs in Little League. Yeah, you ain't going to be a home run hitter, dog. I go, you're a prototype leadoff hitter. I go, you got to be.
Like his dad?
Yeah. Yeah. Flying, causing chaos. And he couldn't bunt. mind you, I said, I'm making a rule. You need to at least lay a one bunt down per game. One a game. If you don't, I'm pulling you out of the game. Plain and simple. You need to look. So he's bunting the ball, still wasn't figuring out the angles. Pitcher was kind of almost like comebackers, and it's still bang, bang at first base. And I go, now do you see how fast you are?
Yeah, and the value in it. So that's funny that you said that you make them bunt once a game, right? So Jim, you like talking about how is it development or winning, right? And how how that relates to like the travel landscape, like.
Yeah, I think Louis, we struggle with that because we really want to develop the kid to, like I said earlier, be good. I want you to be good. And so people want you, not because I'm selling. I can't sell a broken product. You have to be a good player.
Right. That's right.
I think you're in the same boat too. Why people jumping ship sometimes because they want to be on that team that wins, but their son at the end of the day never does anything. So it's a hard line with the what's the best route? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, to be honest, I told them, if you do the stuff that you're taught and, you're doing it well and you continue to get better, that automatically is going to translate into wins because you're playing the game the right way. If you're laying down that bunt, if you're reading the ball in the dirt and getting a good jump and taking that secondary and stealing the bag, hitting the ball, I tell them anytime there's a ground ball hit in the infield, if it hits the dirt 2 or more times, you need to take 2 bases. It should be first or third. If you're at second, you should be scoring. And so I kind of give them those measurements. And I told them, I go, listen, you have to understand how to separate the game. There's 3 parts to it: offense, defense, and base running. You have to learn how to separate them. Because a lot of the times you guys get so focused on your offense. So in my practices, I don't hit till the end. And if they don't do everything else that good throughout the practice, they don't hit that day. Because
it's almost like a reward, right? You got to earn it, yeah.
Got to earn it. Because I know ultimately when they practice baseball, what's the first thing they do? They grab a bat. I know they're doing their hitting, but they ain't working on their fielding or their base running or their bunt plays or PFPs, cutoffs. All that stuff, getting good jumps, good reads,
fundamentals, yeah.
All the fundamentals. That's the way our practices are set up.
That's funny you say that because we do at the collegiate level. Obviously, it's a unique situation that we have. We have Kat as the head coach over there. Jimmy played 9 years. Got to AAA. I played 10 years. So we go about it. We treat it like spring training. We do our skill work. We do our skill work. Then we do our fundamentals, and if all that's done right, all right, now we take our BP and all that stuff.
Sir.
Otherwise, these kids won't learn the game otherwise, right? I mean, there's a lot to it. I mean, just think about how much we learn because of how, you got all these different coordinators. You got the base running guy, you got the infield guy, you got the outfield guy, but you learn so much because they centralize the teaching and the information on that one subject, right? And then you got to blend it all together, right? Then you got to take all of it and you got to put it all together.
They broke it down for us.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want them to understand. You need to break this game down. I said, you guys are just thinking of hitting. Nah, dog. I said, we ain't going to outslug every team every day. But we, for damn sure, which defense, I tell them, pitching is included in defense. If we're not throwing strike 1, we're going to have a problem.
Right. Free bases ain't helping nobody.
Ain't helping nobody, man. You put more traffic on the bases, it's ultimately going to turn around and bite us.
Well, I think the kids lose sight of the fact that, if Chris and I are out there recruiting, we're recruiting to win a regional championship. We're trying to win baseball games. I don't care what your exit velo is. Can you win games? And are you going first to third? Are you reading the dirt ball read? Do you know where to be on the field? Are you into your teammates? Like, that's what we're looking at. But these kids are like so lost.
No, because they're caught up in those balls.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's that showcase life. Yeah.
Right. It's so funny. Jimmy says it all the time, right, Jim? What do you say about the videos we get now with guys? Like, the metrics that they give us, I'm like, what the hell does that mean?
The funny thing is, right, he could tell me like that he hits the ball 250 off the tee, I don't care. I do
I
not
don't
care.
Yeah.
If they went by metrics, I would have never been allowed to play baseball.
Same here. Same here.
Right? I mean,
Same here.
I would hate to see my exit velo off a tee.
Yeah.
Right? But I could turn around a 95-mile-an-hour fastball somehow because I figured it out. Right?
Yeah.
So, and Louis, the one thing is pretty funny too is like you talk about, Timo Perez's kid hit the ball in the air, blah, blah, blah. What constitutes a home run hitter? Like if you ask that kid, all right, how many are you going to hit? What are you going to hit? 5? What does that do for us? You're not a home run hitter unless you're hitting 18 to 20 in those short seasons at that level. Right?
That's exactly what I told him. I go, what kind of hitter do you think you are? And, you get that dazed look like, they don't know what to say. And I go, my man, you don't know what type of player you are? You run a 6'5", 60. So that should tell you what type of player you are. You're a leadoff guy. You need to bunt. You need to slap balls. You need to cause chaos out there, taking them extra bags. Guys sleeping on you. Go another bag.
They don't realize how valuable that is. The amount of pressure you put on the defense, and then then the pitcher having to pitch in a high leverage situation from the beginning of the game, right? Where he's now got to try to execute his best stuff right away. And what's that mean? That means you see more things early. Here, I got the breaking ball and the changeup this inning because he was trying to get outs and trying not to let guys score, right? And now his heart rate gets up, and now he gets tired mentally because he's exerting energy that he wouldn't have had to if this guy wasn't a pain in the butt while he was on the bases, right? So they don't realize how much that impacts the game, and it's a challenge that we try to tell the guys all the time, that everything matters, dude. Everything you do matters. It has a purpose. And even whether you're a pitcher or a hitter, right? Like, so, or whatever, whatever you're involved in that moment. Like, say I'm a pitcher and I miss high and in. And I was trying to go down away, but I miss high and in. Well, why are you going to overreact and be like, oh, throw your hands up in the air like you made a bad pitch? He don't know what you were trying to do. Make it purposeful now. Use it to your advantage, right? Or if you're a hitter, you just missed on a fastball, right? He doesn't know what you're trying to do as a hitter either. You know what I mean? So, like, make it work to your advantage. These guys don't understand all these things.
They don't. And he's one that, like, really bought in, man. The kid really bought in, like, 2 years ago. And he's been bunting, and now he gets a bunt a game.
That's a double for him. That's a double.
And I told him, I go, yo, my man, in 3 pitches, you can be on third base.
Right.
You laid your bunt down, you stole second, you stole third. And he's done it a few times. And I go, you see, that's how fast you are. And I just keep instilling it in his mind. And last year, he ended up committing he's at Binghamton. He's going to Binghamton University. And the coach, Herbert, he comes over to me and he's like, Lou, he goes, you know what I really love about him? That he bunts. And I go, oh, man. I said, let's not talk about that. I said,
you should have been like, man, you're welcome. Don't worry about it.
Well, Louis, how about playing infield like we did? The pressure those guys put on us, that was uncomfortable, right?
That's another thing that I tell them. I go, listen, I said, thank God I was blessed to play in the big leagues at third base. I said, if I had a guy like you, this is where I need to play. So I show him, and it's basically like softball style.
In front of the cut. You got to be in front of the cut almost, yeah.
And even more, because they're so fast, depending on the grass. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is where I got to play you. I go, now you see what I'm talking about? How many more holes you're opening up? Now you can just slap something into the six hole.
He says that all the time. You always talk about that, Jim, with our guys.
When I played against Jose Reyes, I would have to play halfway at second base. And then I'd play like on Andy Chavez, I'd play short against him. I was like, man, he hits a ball to my right. It's do or die every single play.
He had to do it. I had to do it with Kenny Lofton was one for me. And then when I played against Rafael Furcal, oh my God. He was on another level, how fast that dude was. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to play all the way up and play towards the line. This is another thing what I explained to my third basemen. And I go, why do you think I'm playing towards the line? And they're like, I don't know, like no clue.
If it gets past you,
I'm going to give you a single. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to give you a single. I ain't giving you a double.
Right.
You already
for him, a triple if it gets down the line.
You already got me playing in.
Right.
So, that's what those are things that you guys need to be thinking about. You need to be thinking about at least 4 or 5 different scenarios before balls hit to you or whatever. All this stuff got to be going through your mind before the pitch is thrown.
You know what else, Jim? What's the other thing that pisses you the hell off? Because Jim's the third base coach. What pisses you off too about these guys nowadays?
About like signs and stuff?
Yeah,
Or?
exactly.
How about like, first of all, Louis, I say it's 30% get rate that they get the sign. And then you get like the leadoff hitter walks up and he's looking down the first pitch of the game for a sign. I'm like, what do you want from me right now? I mean, like, good players leading off innings. All right, well, coach, you got something? Yeah, how about a double? I don't have a double sign for them. But I want But I think we all know too, forget about like playing as defenders, how frustrating and scary as a coach when you have a fast guy. We are like, or our tools are lost. We don't know what to do.
Yeah.
The pressure there. I hate it when there's a fast guy on there.
Oh, you're telling the guys, and that's another thing. Like, they don't do, like, his first at bat, you can tell who's fast. I go, mind you, in the lineup, think about the fast guys first.
Right. Know your players, know your opponent and what they can do.
Yeah, we ain't doing scouting reports on our level, but you still have some type of idea. 1, 2, and probably maybe even 8 and 9, they're probably fast.
Right.
They're probably fast. I mean, that's just some logic.
It's not rocket science, right?
I said, just figure that out. 3, 4, and 5, and 6, they're probably good hitters. They're probably good hitters, and just think of stuff like that. But it's like completely out of their mind. My pitchers, now this is another thing. I let my pitchers and catchers call the game. But yes.
That's a circus, I'm sure.
Yeah. Every inning, when they come in, I pull them. Okay, why did you call?
Yeah, what was the thought process here?
Process here. Why'd you throw this pitch on 2 and 2? If you threw it 2 and 2, then throw it 3 and 2.
Right. How come every time you get first pitch strike, you always go right to the breaking ball?
Yes, exactly. I go, what are you doing? I mean, I said, you just threw a fastball and he killed the mascot. He was late.
Right.
And you're going to throw a changeup or a breaking ball the next pitch? Why?
Let's speed up his bat. Let's give him a better chance to hit the ball now.
I go, oh, okay, you want him to hit it on the roof. I understand. All right, got it. And then there's a certain little thing. So then there'll be times I go, okay, hey, on me this inning. It'll be late in the game or whatever, and I'll might call some pitches, and I'll call the pitches, boom, 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 and then they'll come in and they're like, yo, Coach Lou, that's crazy. And I go, but do you guys really understand what I just did? Like, why did I call that pitch? I go, this is where I want you to be. I don't want you to rely on me so much. I go, you got to think about
that's being a student of the game, right? You're trying to speed up their curve a little bit, but you got to be a student of the game,
You got to understand.
Yeah, and the other thing is, those guys on the bench, man, that's such an ample time to learn the game. I remember being at Tech and sitting on the bench for 2 years. Hated every day of my life when I was on the bench. But you know what I did? I learned, listen, learn. And then by the time it was my turn, or when my opportunity came, I was better prepared. I was better, I guess my skill or my knowledge of the game was up to par because I was listening. I was paying attention,
Right.
Well, look, I know we've been on here a long time. I did want to say to you, because you played a long time. Talk about a little bit, because you guys, Jimmy, you guys played against each other, right, in the Atlantic League?
What years were you there, Jim?
I was in 05 and 06.
Right before me then.
Yeah,
right
I didn't think.
I was there in 08.
I had a very brief time in AAA in 01, but we didn't play you. I played against Syracuse in 03. No, 01.
01? So then 01, we played against each other.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
02, I finished up against Syracuse, our last game. I remember my dad saying to me, he goes, that was one of the worst games I've ever seen because everybody wanted to get on that plane and go home.
Yeah.
Oh, when everybody's swinging first pitch?
He was like, that was not a baseball game. And I was like, I got myself 2 hits, though. I was like, because guys weren't even trying.
Yeah.
Look, if you could, because this is something that I can relate to you. I know for me, playing in Puerto Rico was like a tremendous learning tool. I remember being in A-ball and going over there and now facing AAA, 4A, big league guys like yourself, Carlos Rivera, You know, obviously at that time when I first got there, Robbie was still playing, Carlos was still playing.
Yep.
You had Alex Cora playing all those years, you know, so I know how vital it was for me in terms of being able to compete at that level, like figuring out how to compete at that level and speeding up that curve. Like you played a lot longer than I did prior to when I got there, and even after I was done playing. How important was that for you, playing in PR?
I'll tell you right now, playing in PR, that's what made me a ball player. Plain and simple. That's where I learned how to play. I found that when I came back to the States, it was easier because over there we have a combination of you need to win, so you got that pressure. You got to win, win, win. You got
well,
that.
They say don't mess with my money.
Don't mess with my money. You know. You know, you got that pressure of if you don't produce, you're gonna sit. They can care if you were a big league player.
Right. I remember how comfortable it was, Jim. I remember being in a locker room with big league guys who could not crack the lineup. And how uncomfortable that was. I was like, man, this is weird. I was like,
yeah,
they can't get in this lineup.
Jim, I'm gonna tell you right now, during that time, man, when Chris came over there and he pitched against us, it felt like every other start was against us and dealing. And I'm like, yo, who is this young kid, man? This kid is dealing, man. And I'm like, where is he? Oh, he only played an A ball. What? I go, I played an A ball. And I'm like, damn, I haven't faced dudes like this in AAA. And maybe even sometimes I'm like, no, there's no way. You know, so that's that type of competition. You start seeing guys like that. I thought was cool because you start seeing them up and coming guys, and like, damn, these guys really get a chance there, especially pitchers. You get a chance to fly up through the system if you're doing well there. So that's why I always told the guys, man, you need to play winter ball. This is how you're going to get better. And then you have guys like Alex Cora. You know, I was friends with him, man, and I told him, I go, dude, every time you come to Puerto Rico, you crush this league. Then you go to the States, you don't hit the same, bro. I watch your games. You're not the same type of hitter. I don't know if you're comfortable because you're home or whatever. I said, change that mentality. I go, yo, you could be a stud in the big leagues. So you see certain guys, how they switch to as far as playing. But that's what made me a better baseball player.
Jim, Louis was one of the guys that, because the way they do it in PR and in the winter leagues is the team wins the league, right? But then even in internal playoffs, like when there's playoffs, some teams get eliminated, but then they bring in what they call refuerzos, like reinforcements, right? So let's say his team didn't make it. He was the first guy getting picked up by somebody.
Oh, okay.
You know, so he was always in like all these big games every year because he was, you know, he was a sought after player and obviously he was talented. So he got to play in all those Caribbean series. And you didn't make that WBC team though, right? The 06,
no.
That was towards the end of the year.
I really thought I was going to get invited to that one, the very first one. I was like, man, if I only have a chance, this is the only one I'm going to have a chance with in 06. And no, they didn't. They ended up, what was it? I think at the time.
Well, there was a bunch of guys, infielders. You had Centron, you had Cora.
Yeah, Cora,
Valentin. Yeah, so it was.
Guys, man, a lot of big name players and stuff. And I was like,
I don't even think, did Weicho make that team? I'm trying to remember if he was on that team.
I think he did. I think he did because I saw the replay the other day. Yeah. I think he was because he came in to pinch hit or something and got a couple big hits.
You might be right.
Yeah. So that, it was tough to try and crack that because there was so many infielders, man. So many infielders. I was like, the only way I'll make it if they have me as a DH or pinch hitter off the bench or something, or that's the only way. But, that's one thing that I would have loved to play in, man, because the Caribbean series were awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You talk about the great experiences, playing against a Dominican team that were stacked. That
was one of the most enjoyable parts of playing in my career was being able to do that stuff. So that was I wanted to get your take on it as well.
Well, looking from far, I having not played in the big leagues or doing the winter ball, I would have more pressure playing in winter ball. I always thought that, like that environment and the must-win mentality. Like that, I would rather play in the big leagues, or I'd be more relaxed than going over there and trying to, produce in that environment. That had to be sick,
It was sick, and it's fun though.
Yeah.
You hear all the instruments going while you're playing, and it's like you're waiting in between pitches, and you even start dancing with some of the music while they're going.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy environment, man. And
well, you guys were able to make some money too. I mean, that's where you guys got some cash, being like minor leaguers for the most part.
Exactly. That was another reason why I would go out there too. I mean, you're making real good money compared to what the peanuts, the scraps that we were making over here in the minors.
Yep, that doesn't hurt.
Hey, well, I asked you before we let you go, Lou. Talk to us a little bit about the Harvey School. How did you get in that?
Okay, the Harvey School. I started. This was going to be my 5th year, and my partner with the Nighthawks, he's also on the board at the Harvey School. His kids go there and stuff like that. And after our first year with the Nighthawks, he was like, it was right before, we had started the Nighthawks in the spring, and so the school season was still going. He invited me to a game. He goes, trust me, it's nothing what you're going to see with the Nighthawks. And I go, okay. When I saw that, man, it was basically like, the best way I could put it, maybe like the Bad News Bears. It was like that situation. I mean, the ball just being thrown all over the place, guys playing positions that they shouldn't be, So they needed some help. They wanted me to come in, and I told them the only way I can come here, I had a couple of things. I said, one was I want to do it the way I want to do it. I want to set it up. I'm going to have my best players. I can care less. Even if it's an 8th grader and he's better than a senior, so be it. He's going to play. So I want
you didn't want the parent involvement, right? You didn't want that, yeah.
No parent involvement, no front office, no AD involvement, nothing. I'm going to pick my best baseball players out of all the levels, because we have middle school and we have the high school. So and I did it twice with 2 8th graders. One was my partner's son, which he's at Arizona State now. So I think I made the right choice with him. And then the other kid is Ryan Horowitz, the one that I was telling you about, the righty. He's a 2020 kid. By the way, he's still available, just in case, if you guys are looking for another arm.
Always looking for arms.
Bucknell just hit me up about him, but, this kid is willing to go anywhere. Very good grades, too. And he was another kid that was in 8th grade. I put him on the varsity. So I said, we can do that. I said, by the way, this is a prep school, so I can recruit. And they were like, yeah, you can. Okay. So this is where I started thinking, well, just like we're giving opportunities with the Nighthawks, let's give 2 kids per year an opportunity to go to a school that they could never afford. You go to this school, it's between 50 and 60 grand a year. We have dorms, so we're helping out kids. And ultimately what I've been doing is bringing in 2 Nighthawk players into the program every year. So I have them all year round,
They really get to develop now.
Right. They really get to develop. So you develop the school program as well as the Nighthawks program, as well as the individual, the kid.
Right.
And put them on. So make a long story short, that first year, we were very young. And I said, we've never played a home playoff game. The school's been around 100 years. No. Okay, that's our goal for this year. Sure enough, we made the home playoff game. We lost in the first round. That's fine. Came back the next year. We lost in the semis. Then the following year, we lost in the semis again in the extra innings. And then last year, we won our first championship ever in school's history.
Awesome. That's great, man.
And you talk about the talent on that team. We had the kid Alexander. He's at Arizona State. My other catcher, DH, he's at Grambling State, starting catcher. My center fielder, which is Timo's kid, he's going to Binghamton, but he was only a junior. And then we had the other kid, he was playing short. He was at UMass Lowell. So we had 4 D1 kids on that one team. And then the other kids that end up going, like now, we had our catcher was a little banged up. So I converted an outfielder into a catcher. The kid's going to Wheaton College now as a catcher. He's going to be a freshman here. So it's pretty cool, man. Just trying to let them know, hey, you have the best of scenario here because it's a great academic school. These kids get good grades, so let's combine it with the ultimate student athlete. I said, it's easy. So they're letting me do that now, man. That's what we're trying to do, man. Just
That's good stuff.
Opportunities that we didn't get.
So they made a good hire, I guess.
Yeah.
I get a lot of my buddies call me up and they're like, when they saw the team last year, and because they know I have a lot of Nighthawk players, and our league is a little bit weak and stuff. It's a prep school, but we're in the lower league of the prep school. We're in the higher league, not yet anyway. But and my buddies, a lot of my buddies will tell me, they go, dude, if you don't win with this team, you need to get fired, man. You got 4 D1 players.
Now the pressure's on, right? Now you got the pressure. Yeah. Well, that's what you strive for, is to create that standard, right? And I mean, that's kind of like what Jim and I got involved with Frank, and we did. We turned the program around essentially in 1 year.
No doubt.
That was about maintaining standard. That's where the real challenge is. You built it. Now you got to maintain and keep that engine going, So
that's the key. And then the other thing is, what you guys did was, now there's kids interested in going there. That interest is there now. Now you can start. You get to a point that you can start being picky of who you want to bring in.
Right.
It wasn't like we're bringing in everybody. Like with the Harvey School. Same thing with us. Now we're getting kids. I'm getting other organizations hitting me up. Lou, I have a kid for you because I know what you're doing at the school, and we can reclass. You can reclass him and to help him out. Okay, and we did that with one of the kids this year. He's going to be my shortstop, and he came from another program, from the Northeast Pride. He plays for.
Okay, cool.
So those are other things that now I go, okay, this is getting real now because you got other people.
Paying attention. They're paying attention.
Yeah, paying attention now.
That's great stuff, dude.
Well, Louis, we can't thank you enough for your time. I mean, there's so many good messages out there for the families. It's you did an outstanding job. So
appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Yeah, dude. So hey, Lou, thanks for coming on and spending some time with us. And obviously we'll catch up with each other out on the recruiting circuit.
That.
And hopefully maybe we'll get you back on here again, and another time we can dig deep into some more of the baseball talk. So
okay, let's do that, man. For sure. Right. When we get out of all this craziness, let's get together.
Sounds good, bud. Hey, appreciate you, and thanks for everybody for tuning in. And until next time.
See you.